Hello, everyone. Morning.
Hi, it's just me.
Just you?
Anna.
Did you send out the email?
I did, and I also posted, and I also tagged people as well in the group.
Okay, it looks like we're getting some people coming on here. So
they know. They're coming on. I see everybody now.
Awesome. You want to start the? I don't have control over the screen, so.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, you're the host. I'm actually not even logged in.
Never mind. My bad. I do.
Oh, you're good.
I've got control. Hey, guys.
Hey, John. How are you guys?
Good morning. How are you? How is life in Mexico?
It's actually very hot. We were like 40 Celsius yesterday and humid. So
Jeez.
I'm glad today it's cloudy. It was crazy.
40 Celsius. My Canadian math is kicking in, and that's hot. So, that's hot, man. That's not fun.
Yeah, we're getting, the next couple of months are going to be the most intense here in Merida. But then it's 5 months that are very nice. You lived in Cozumel, John, for a while?
I lived in Cozumel, yeah. I was a dive master there for an illegal one, but nonetheless, a dive master there for like 3 summers. So.
In which years did you live there?
Oh God, let me see, when was it? 1997 and 88, 99.
Nice. Those were the island.
Oh yeah, it was spectacular. Yeah, 97 was great. Yeah, so I got to do a lot of cave diving, a lot of cenotes and stuff like that. So there is obviously caves. Acamal's great for that stuff, but mostly cenotes out there. Cenotes. Still didn't learn Spanish because I'm a moron. I tried. I really did try. I did. Like, I think we had this conversation before. I know I lived in France for a year, and I know the same phrases in French. So it's like, I'm just, languages and me do not get along. And it's really weird for a guy that writes, basically comes up with software code and stuff. I'm going to have my one of my partners in crime join us today as a little guest surprise. It's Joshua Pillis here.
Hi.
So Joshua Pillis here. If you don't know Josh, then
you should.
The Tao of Badass. Hello. How you doing this morning? You good? Got your hair permed, right?
Mine? No, my hair is naturally curly. Sorry, I didn't know if you were talking to me.
Yeah. No, I'm talking to the other person got their hair permed.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, it's so to introduce Josh. Sorry, Josh. This is the only seat we have.
No worries.
I think it's a copy. How many of you guys know Tao Badass? Remember the Tao? Okay, so Oscar, Derek, so Josh was my partner in crime in creating, and he helped me dissect all my video sales letters, well, a lot of them, and then he and I created the VSL formula way back in
2012, something like that.
Yeah, it was way back in 12, and then he went off and created a VSL of his own, a little help from moi.
Yeah.
And it went on to be the Goldfish VSL, which did millions and millions and millions of dollars.
10 million a year.
10 million a year.
Really
so it's really funny. We put our money where our mouth is. And I'm going to show you this today, by the way, just for the guys that did the homework. You're going to get a little kick out of this. But yeah, this is so what I'm teaching here and what we're doing. And Josh is up for the week because we are. I don't know if you guys can see you probably can't see that a lot of that whiteboard behind me, can you? You can't? Good, because this is top secret shit. We really don't want you to see it. And, it's upside down, top secret shit. So we, just to make sure, we just flipped most of it upside down. So, but yeah, Josh is heading up Copy Pro Academy. So a lot of what you guys are being trained to do, the guys that are going to be selected, there's going to be at least 3 or 4 of you selected, maybe 5. To go through Copy Pro Academy on us, and this will be your Dragon Master.
Boom! I'm going to be helping. Super stoked. Yeah, we got a lot of. I mean, this is like such next level compared to what we did back with 3x VSL formula.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of little details. You can't just kind of like slide in without really gaining the knowledge you need to be a good copywriter. With 3x VSL, you could really just follow a formula for a little while. But with the Copy Pro Academy, you have to be able to produce new copy that has never been seen before that can be syndicated. It's just going to be very beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. We like doing the impossible.
Well, they've got a taste of Copy Pro 1. Just no one has a taste of what we've already built, which is Copy Pro 2. And what you will get a taste of that, and Josh did yesterday for the first time, actually, just with literally about, I guess, he went through his blueprint. So he's doing the same thing you guys are doing. He went through, created a blueprint. Got us not even halfway through it yet, but just spending, because we're also working a lot. And I said, well, do you think you're ready to try it? Because you guys have never seen this. So I'm going to show it to you toward the end of the course. So I'm going to open a loop here. It's going to not be closed for a couple of weeks now. So I'm going to hate my guts for that. But can you create a what we call a template? Can you write copy using this code, our own language, right? So this is why I was kind of laughing, because I can't speak Spanish or French, but I can figure out these language codes. But yeah, tú eres muy bonita, you know, that kind of stuff. That's all I can say. And well, a few other things, but I learned the important things, right? But he was able to create his first email and what we call copy block it. And so now I could press a button, that email would go into syndication. And if he was not running his side of the company, he would make
I'd make money
80% every single time someone bought it. So,
yeah.
Which means what's interesting is people can buy this, as you guys have seen. Like, imagine all the emails in Copy Pro that you can see, but it's not just emails. It's video sales letters, it's webinars, it's sales pages, it's ads, it's content, it's everything. Imagine that, and every single time somebody clicked on it and said, yeah, I think I'll take it, you get 80% of it. That's going to change the way all of you guys do business forever. And we're going to have, like, literally millions, we hope, at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people come through this machine. So we want to basically do what Uber did to cabs. I mean, you got to, how many people have Uber apps, right? Raise your hand, right? How many people 3 years ago didn't know what Uber was? Yeah. Now, how many of you 3 years ago would have called a cab company and now look back on that and thinking, damn, that was stupid. So yeah, I mean, that's just like, no one I know is going, I got Uber, you know, but I'm just going to call a cab company, take a chance. I mean, anyone could show up. They might not show up, you know, why not? You know, I think I'll do it that way. And that's the way it is with some copywriters. And I wanted to create a platform that would give folks like you who are copywriters, education that forces you to be better copywriters, a machine that literally forces you to be a better copywriter, and a way to sell copy that where people are going, I think I'll take that one. And so it's just never been done before, and it's actually done now. And we're in the process of doing it. So tying a bow on this thing and having it done. So that's some exciting news. That's why Josh is here. And also to share some wisdom, I'm sure, in this, our little chat. So this is nothing formal. We just kind of get together early. We decided to do 45 minutes early to see how well that worked, because 30 minutes went by too fast.
Okay. Hey, John, I have a quick question. I don't know if I can ask you right now.
Sure. It's open format, man. Absolutely.
So, you know, we have an online academy where we serve marketing, sales, entrepreneurship courses. And we've been running it for maybe like 5 years. And overall right now, if I look at my whole pool of clients, 25% of them would be what I call independent salespeople, right? So they're not literally entrepreneurs, but they're like the MLM guy, right? They're the insurance guy, they're the real estate guy. So pretty much like salespeople that have been given a system by a company and now you run it, right? So 25% of our sales come from them. And then 75% of our sales usually come from entrepreneurs, right? It's small to medium entrepreneurs in pretty much every single type of niche. And I've always had this question, if I should just focus my copy towards entrepreneurs or if I should still keep on talking to the salesperson. I just want to run that for you.
I think the answer to that is going to be go where the money is. I mean, go where the money is.
Yeah, I don't think entrepreneurs most of the time are going to have a lot of expendable income unless they're already rocking a little bit. You know, if salespeople are making regular money, I would definitely wouldn't cut them out, especially if you're helping them. So which one are you making more money from?
Well, we're getting definitely more sales from the entrepreneur side. Because when I started out with my program called Selling Through Service, I thought like I was going to rescue my fellow salespeople from companies, right? And then I figured out that actually employees, like salespeople that are employees, don't invest a fucking cent in their education. It's horrible, but they don't. They just expect the company to do it for them. right? So entrepreneurs are usually the guys that are like, oh, sink or swim, right? Like I need to do it.
Yeah.
And we've been more on that side. 75% of our sales come from them.
Yeah, go where the money is. I don't mean that in a callous way. Like if the money was, you know, crack cocaine dealers, then you wouldn't want to go where the money is. But, I know that you gave that up last week, so it's all good. You know, we're gonna move on. But seriously, go where the money is, and that's also, it's so hard because I mean I've done this so many times where I fell in love with a project and or fell in love with the concept of a project, and Leanne can, if she's on the call, I don't know if she is or not, but could vouch for this because she's seen me go through this like several times. And you get in love with
hey.
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
If I ever, yeah.
You get in love with a niche and you're like, okay, and I'm gonna like a Rottweiler on a bone, you're gonna hold on to it. Easiest thing to do is let go of it. Except, and there's an exception here, if you know that you like something that will take salespeople to a whole nother stratosphere, and you could subdivide it into like, here's the entrepreneur's funnel and here's the sales funnel, and just jack the course price for the sales funnel up a ton. And it's counterintuitive, right? It's like, you know, you think you're struggling there, you charge less. Struggling there, you charge more. That's almost always the mantra that I want to go with people. If you're struggling in a certain area, either you're in the totally wrong demographic or you're charging too little. So they're not looking at it as like, oh, it's just not much of an investment. So I make that mistake.
It actually makes a lot of sense because my idea was right now to start our sales courses, selling them more B2B. We have 10 salespeople in our sales team. So they can do like the quotes and get more like long-term deals and higher ticket deals with companies, not directly with the salesperson. So that was kind of like our angle. And then maybe just push the online courses more towards entrepreneurs. So one of the feedbacks that I've gotten in the past is that when entrepreneurs hear the word sales, they kind of panic sometimes. Like it has like this negative connotation that I'm going to be this, like I'm into entrepreneurship because I want to be like Steve Jobs, not the sleazy car sales guy, right? So it comes to mind like that. I don't know if that's solid or I should listen to that.
Dude, no, I mean, okay, so anyone that's ever heard me speak on stage, and if I have, I've probably shared this with you. I shared it last night with a lovely girl that's staying with us here. Then she's a friend that's going to Lucidity Festival, and it's my whole thing on, and this will help you if you share this from the stage, especially to entrepreneurs. The whole icky salesperson thing, you know, that sales is icky, selling something is bad. Well, everyone likes to buy things. No one likes to be sold to, you know, so that's the first distinction. But the second distinction is, you know, well, I'll start with this. What's the oldest profession in the world?
Prostitution.
First person to answer. Oldest salesperson in the world. Oldest
Prostitution.
Prostitution. Wrong. Marketing. She had to sell it.
Yeah.
Sales. She had to sell it first. And so, and I say she because that's unfortunately what it was. Pardon my hashtag not politically correct. But so the old joke is a little bit off. It's marketing is still the oldest profession in the world. Now that being said, sales and marketing, I take a different stance on this, and I'd love to share it with you guys if you're open to hearing this, because this will really help your mentality, because everyone's got money issues. Everyone's got issues with, I'm working with another dear friend of ours. We live in this huge compound. It's almost a commune without being a commune, but it's like a bunch of entrepreneurs. We're all like really great friends, and we all live in the same place here. So this house is massive in Santa Barbara, and that we just got all kicked out of, but that's another story. The house got sold, so it's like, really, shit, gotta leave. But Jennifer is amazing at working with women specifically about getting over money issues. And you wouldn't believe like the money issues everyone has, especially guys like you. It's like copywriters and artists, anyone in the art world, anyone trying to change the world, like entrepreneurs. There's these things we have that are underlying that we're not consciously aware of, that we're thinking, oh crap, here we go. You know, here goes the crazy mindset thing that's driving you, right? And I use this shift to really help people. And I want you to hang with me through the bouncing ball of logic. If you raise your hand if you sell something you believe in, that you really believe in. Do you believe that will change someone's life? Okay, great. So do you raise your hand if you understand that the way our brains are wired is transactional? In other words, if someone comes up to me and he says, I've got a Lexus for you or a Ferrari, and I just want to give it to you for free. What's your first reaction?
What's the catch?
What's the catch? Okay, very good. What's the catch? Or okay, if they said, hey, I've got a Ferrari, I'd like you to sell it to you, and it's $3.
Same thing. What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it? And I wanted someone to say it, because the first one was, what's the catch? Because you're thinking there's just no way, right? The second one is, what's wrong with it? So I'm going to make this. What if I knew the Ferrari would cure cancer? Now, I knew this Ferrari would cure your cancer. I know that I'm taking a stupid analogy because this is the way I teach this. Stupid. This Ferrari is a magical Ferrari. It cures cancer. And I know that you and everyone around you has cancer. And you're going, okay, that's kind of strange. And I said, I'm going to give it to you for free. You're more likely to take it because you're in an immediately like life-threatening situation. So that's where sales doesn't work. Like if I've got a cure for cancer and I'm going, oh, and I'm going to dangle it over your head. I'm not saying pharmaceutical companies shouldn't sell their product. There's a whole argument there, but we're not dealing in that kind of stuff. I'm dealing in it kind of like in health and fitness, where I know if I can help you lose weight, that's going to keep you away from certain diseases. I just know that the mind of the human being is wired in a transactional format. And the reason I went back to the oldest profession is that's a transaction. That's how our brains evolved, transactional. You know, Krog came back to the cave with his little stick in his hand, and he beat something to death with it. And he's like, this is mine, right? I'm gonna sell this. And somebody goes, no, I will offer you these sticks for this. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll take it. This has been wired in your DNA for like 1 million years, right? About 250,000 years. We're gonna get really specific, but a long time, right? Been wired in your DNA. So if you know that, and you know that's the way that human beings best respond to anything. And if you believe that what you are selling is absolutely life-changing, for you not to sell it is immoral. It's not just bad business, it's immoral. Because what you're saying is my moral code, my personal ethic, my virtue is more important than your life. And that, if you people like, let that sink in for a moment. My virtue is more important than changing your life. I am virtuous, so I will give it away, or I can't sell something because I'm so virtuous. And you can see this, you know, I'm exaggerating this on purpose, right? But that's kind of what's going through your brain. It's like, money is so wrong, and I just want to help you. If you just give it to them, they will not act on it. You guys are all invested in this course, absolutely invested in this course, okay? I could have charged, we were talking last night. I mean, John Carlton, I know, because he's texted me before about this, would shoot me to know that I'm teaching and going where I'm going for, you know, the amount of money that I'm charging. I'm doing this for a reason, because A, I love to do it, B, I wanted to get as many people in there. There's a lot of reasons, but still, could charge $20,000 for copywriters to go through this kind of training. That's just the way it is. That's how much a lot of other people do charge. I've charged that for masterminds and other stuff as well. But I still believe that what I have is life-changing. I know I'm going to sell it. There's no way I'm giving it away. If I would have said, hey, it's $49.95, like $49.95, half of you wouldn't be here this morning. Half of you aren't here already. We got 30 people in the class. There's only 13 people here. I mean, so now granted, this is extra credit, but you know, there might be 20 people at max on the call. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. I know Matt Gallant, I know Jonathan Cronstadt. I know those guys are super busy, and I know they bought the course and all that stuff. But other than that, people just don't have a valid excuse for not showing up. If I would have charged them 10 grand, do you think they would show up? Everyone should go, yeah. I mean, 10 grand, they're showing up. 20 grand, they're showing up with like, you know, with a tie on, you know? And that's the transactional nature of humanity. So if you know and you believe firmly that you have something that's going to change someone's life, for you not to sell it and learn how to sell it to the best possible way, and this is very important when we get to the offer, which is 2 weeks away, is not just bad business, it's unethical. It's immoral. Now your compass should shift a little bit, because none of you, I really don't believe any of you are immoral, but let's say if you dig deep and go, oh, maybe that's true, that changes perspective. And so now when you write your next letter and you're in that character mode or whatever, if you're taking my speed writing stuff and you're going into a character, you know, and the character is writing the letter and you're getting to the pitch, all of a sudden now if you think the most moral thing that I can do is actually sell this to somebody, because once they lay down a transactional thing with me, they will be committed and their brains will go, oh, the wiring goes this way. It's the only way it works. I'm not saying no one does something for free. I'm saying the vast majority of people respond to something when they're committed by a transaction. So that's my dissertation on that. Does that help anyone come with that whole issue? Maybe you should share that with your peeps there, Chris, that, you know, that not selling is immoral. A lot of people would never believe that not selling is immoral. Selling something shitty is immoral, period. Selling something you believe in that will change somebody's life is.
Adrian, and what's the equivalent of raise your hand if you agree when you're doing it from the stage, but in text, like in a sales letter? What angle would you use for that?
Oh, you know what? I love using visceral commands. Like, in other words, it's like seriously, I've used this a couple times in sales letters. Well, I'll say, stop right now and write down the following sentence. Just pause my video, and it was really suicide in VSL, or it could be. Pause this video right now and write down the sentence. If you don't have anything to write with, just place your hand on your heart and say out loud, X. You will get people placing their hands on their heart and saying this, because now in the States, this works really well because a lot of us grew up doing this. I pledge allegiance to the flag, so we know what that means. But that's still a universal thing. People just know what this means, right? So you get them to do something where they're locked in, again, anchoring. So back to NLP. So you've heard me talk about NLP. Well, you can anchor a reaction to a physical touch. Like a lot of techniques you teach in NLP to help people overcome habits, bad habits, is like every time you do something, you pop your wrist you've heard that popping your wrist with a rubber band or whatever. It's Pavlov's dog kind of thing. If I tap my wrist here 3 times, I know, okay, it's go time. I'm ready to fight, you know, or whatever it may be. So that's one way you can do that. So I don't want to spend all my time talking about that, but this is very passionate for me, because I believe selling is one of the most important things you can do when you have something to sell, when you believe in something. Like Brennan has something to sell. He is all about werewolves, because I got him inspired with werewolves, and he's writing all about werewolves. Yeah. So I mean, come on. I mean, the world has to get rid of werewolves. We have to get rid of the world of this wolf problem.
Is there a silver bullet?
Well, it was a really great moment for me when I first received your email for this course, because my wife and I we had just been going through some life transitions for a while, and I was finally in a point to where I could kind of focus on myself, like just not making money, but actually grow.
Yeah.
And I had been doing heaps of research, and I started at the beginning of the year. It was kind of like my resolution. And you sent out the email at the end of February is when I got it. And the moment that hit my inbox, I'm like a lot of hours ahead because I'm in Australia. So that hit my office, hit my inbox like in the morning when I was at a cafe. And like the first thing, I was like ecstatic. And because I was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And the second thought was, this is what I'm trying to make other people feel. Because you didn't have to sell me anything in that moment. Like, you just told me, hey, Brennan, I have this. And I was like, I'm in. And I was so excited. I'm like, $1,500. Well, I mean, that's not like pocket change, but I can make that work. Right. And I was ready, like immediately consulting with my wife, I'm in. And I was like, wow, this. And I think that brought me a lot of kind of clarity, because people ask all the time, they're like, you work in marketing, how do you feel about like selling people stuff? I'm like, well, people are going to buy things anyways. If I have something that I think could add to their life, like, why would I be ashamed?
Yeah. And it's actually, again, taking the stance of like, why should I be ashamed, or why is it a bad thing to say? No, I think it's immoral not to. Well, immoral, that's the word I used. It again. Well, this is word alchemy, right? I'm using immoral to really get a visceral decision. And about selling, this is very interesting, and everyone here will testify this. You know, I said, look, you know, the first people that get in from this email get in for $1,500. The rest of you pay $2,000, then it goes up to $2,500. So I mean, we had a tier going on there, because I know I'm selling this. Copy Pro Academy is starting at $5,000. So it's like, and that's just, well, granted, it's putting you into a system that makes you money, but yeah, it's there's no hesitation here. And what Brennan is referring to, in case anyone's not catching the psychology of what he's referring to, is the sales letter that I sent out had very little like salesy kind of stuff to it. And a friend of mine who's a copywriter emailed me, goes, and he's like, man, I don't want to see you lose sales. And if I were you, I'd do bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And I said, no, that's not what I'm doing. And I went back and added 3 bullets, but I didn't do the whole like 19 bullet points, because I'm like, no, I want people that already get this, that I don't want to sell anyone. And not that there's a problem with it. Like toward the end of it, it's like, sure, we'll sell if we have a few seats left over. Sure, people that are kind of on the fence, but I want to create an environment to where it's like it's so obvious to make the transaction. It's ridiculous. You're not always going to be there, folks. Like, so raise your hand if you're selling a product that's in a high competition network. Like if you're selling, okay, so yeah, you're not always going to be there. In that case, you need to make a case, and that's what we're teaching you how to do, is how to basically make a case, how to become a litigator of words, if you will, which is with the whole primary complaint, secondary complaint. We're getting into goals today. Guys, guess what? This is the easiest week of the whole course. If anyone needs a week off, now's the time to take it. I mean, I'm kidding, sort of, but just ever so slightly. It's very important to have goals. Obviously, if you don't talk to someone's goals, they're like, yeah, but it's easy to figure out the goals once you've done all this other work. It's like so easy. Like you take you'll take the complaints and flip them upside down. It's really simple. We'll go over that today, but we're also a word dope dealer, Judy. That's good. We'll also go over some of the homework and some of the stuff I wasn't able to share last week because of technical gremlins. It was funny last week. I was caught in between, like the power went out in the house 15 minutes before it went on, completely down. And I thought it was just the house. No, it was the whole neighborhood, right? So I'm like, oh crap. And I'm 15 minutes away from anything local. And I jump in my car, grab my laptop, and I get halfway down the hill and realize I didn't grab my headphones. Like, so there's nothing I can do. I just go into a parking lot with a phone and I'm going, okay, well, we're going to do this with slides. I'm like, but I wasn't able to share, so I'm going to share some of that today because we have, okay, cool. Let's take any questions anyone's got. So I like the 45-minute format. I'm not going to, I promise I won't go all pastor on you and, lecture you about morality. So
I have a question.
Oh yeah, well, Dobby said that anyone wants to change their mindset about morality, money should read Aula Strike. Yeah. So I was a philosophy major. That was required reading. Yes. So, hey.
Hi. This kind of is a segue from what you were talking about. I have a friend who's one of the original ketogenic authors, and she's pretty popular, and she speaks a lot, but has never really worked on her marketing and her sales. So I'm decided to use what I'm learning in this class to help her. And I'm wondering with Copy Pro, all those forms we fill out, like to get all that information and also to help her, to have her do a lot of the work herself. I was just wondering if it's possible down the road you might have an integration where people fill out all that information and then it integrates into the software, or you can download it and then you can like take their wording and improve on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we talked about that originally. I think Leanne, again, if you're around here, remember us, we were talking through, in fact, when we had our first team that came on and said, we were building the niches is what we call them in Copy Pro 1. They're called blueprints in 2. But when they were building niches for people, they said, we created an intake form, and it was like a Word document or like a Google Doc. And so they would have people write out in their own words what it was. And then they would go back and take their own words and then put their own words into the Copy Pro language, which is simply like, hey, what's the verb that starts this sentence and those kind of things. So you can do that. But to me, that's double the work because it's really easy. And they learn this too. It's really easy when you say, so give me, if I say, what's your number one complaint? What's the thing that's bothering you the most right now about the topic that you're talking about? People will say things like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I just feel, well, we're already at a verb.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll almost always start with a verb. And that's what's kind of cool about that. So you can make an intake form out of that. I think we probably still have them, but it's a lot of work. And so it's easier for you to say, okay, I'm just going to walk you through this, in my opinion. But if there's a better way to do that in the future, we'll figure it out. Like we'll figure out, like, here's an intake form online, fill in this. But if they don't fill in the right stuff, then what comes into the system is garbage in, garbage out, right? If they say, like if they say their primary complaint is, what, my primary complaint is I'm an idiot. Right. I'm a moron. Okay. So you have to say feeling like a moron or whatever. If they put primary complaint, I'm a moron, that will come out really interesting in emails. But I'm trying to think of a complaint where somebody doesn't use a verb. It's kind of hard to do. So the easiest way is really to walk someone through that process. And also, by the way, FYI, a lot of people, copywriters, have told me this, that they would just pay for the software just to get the all the breakdowns because it forces you to think.
Mm.
You know, Josh had to go through the whole thing and had to think through it. Like, but when you start having to think of verbs, and we're actually updating our verb list because we just have 1,000 verbs in there that are common verbs. We're going to change those verbs to word alchemy verbs coming up here in the next month, so that all the verbs that you see are going to be like these really juicy verbs. And it's like, well, so you could ask people, how would you say that? What's you can even ask, what's the first verb that comes to your mind? Are you struggling? Are you this? And they'll say, you know what? I feel like I'm blank. And then you can really get those kind of answers. Right? And so you're kind of going through it with them, but they don't see what you're doing necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you have any tips for coming up with these, not word alchemy, but like branded terms?
Yeah. So I teach it in the samurai bonus that you guys get. So I teach this whole thing on coming up with branded terms, and that's in there. There's also the videos that go along with it to where there's just like examples, but really when we get to primary solution, I'm going to cover the same thing I covered in samurai on how to come up with it. To be honest with you, it's the simplest way I can explain it is, you think of words that you know would work, like plan or the blah blah system, you know, or whatever, and then you just go to thesaurus.com and see how many different ways you can say system. But there's like 10 different ways you can say that word. You know, there's just there's 10 different ways. But changing it around and then playing around with it, coming up with alliterations. So the other tip I teach is like, well, let's come up with an alliteration. You know, like the alliteration, just same letters, right? So you can look up, okay, what's another word for system that starts with C if the first word is carb? You know, the carb cutter or whatever the case may be. So that's one way of coming up with it. We'll cover it more in the primary solution though. And also that's a little bit where your creative edge comes in. So powerthesaurus.org for the win. Thank you, Judy. That's even better than thesaurus.com. So powerthesaurus is great, .org. So check that out. Elaine, I get what you're saying there, and that's a great idea. Having them input it into it. Originally speaking, we didn't have them is a customer, so they're actually inputting it into. They're actually doing the same thing you're doing, right? But if we're copywriters, so there's an in between, there's a go between, and we will probably instigate that where they're filling out the same stuff. As long as they're filling it out right, like they can't just type in whatever they want into a field. And in being obviously a copywriter, when I've handed out these kind of forms, just how I created all that, people it was like to get them to go through it, but they have to go through it because I couldn't write a letter without going through it. But it's like pulling teeth to get them to go through it. It's a lot easier when they're filling out fields. If they have to think. All right, so I got a question, guys. I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can. We might have to start at 8 next time. Could you guys get up early enough to start at 8?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm also trying to stretch out my rotator cuff here. Okay.
I have a question. Is that all right?
Sorry.
I have a question for the video sales letter. Do you use like an outline? Is there like a specific? How do you determine what points you want to hit in what order?
So it's like, I'm going to go back to the analogy we used last time of like reading music or like speaking language. So I'm not thinking of the words I'm using in order right now. They're just coming out. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to end this particular sentence right now, probably with the word dog, but because I love dogs. I was out for dinner last night and there's a little pug. I have to go pet him, right? So kind of weird, but that's just me. But the point is, I don't know what I'm going to say to the end of the sentence, but I know that hopefully it will make sense to somebody unless I end it with random words like that. So the same thing is true of the VSL. Once I've learned everything I'm going through in this course, the patterns start flowing a lot easier. And also, by the way, toward the end of this, we got the puzzle pieces, we're laying those out. Oh, this one's going to go with this one, this one's going to go with this one. Well, let's put it all together, comes toward the end. That being said, you have Cellerator as a bonus. Cellerator is a slide by slide. That's the classic ugly VSL formula that so many people still use and still have to this very day. So that's one way you can start. And you just go through and you click the slides and choose the wording you want. And that's another way you can go through it. So now Davi asked a couple of cool questions and I hope I answered it thoroughly for you, that online. It's like when he said, I didn't see a lot of empathy in there. I said, well, here's all the empathy in the second letter, in the written letter, or in the VSL. In the written letter, the empathy is completely stealth. It's so stealth. But again, I'm teaching stuff where, hey, let's get the basics down. You know, again, I don't want you to, I don't want to say like, okay, here's how you do here's how you play a scale. And the next thing I do is I throw, a Vivaldi concerto in front of you. That's not the way you do things, right? So let's get the scales down first, and then I can dissect, show you like, oh, all this. It's there's terms for it, like it's called comparative ideology. Remember my psychology correct? Somebody's a psychology person I know in here. Comparative ideology, I think, is what it's called. Where I'm taking words and phrases that I know they would resonate with, and I'm saying I'm the same as you without saying I'm just like you. So in other words, empathy is like, hey, I know what you're going through. I'm just like you. That's how you teach it. I don't dare teach this by using comparative ideology and say, you see all these guys that are just, you see all these other people, the others, it's otherism. Okay. So these other people, and it's usually, I know who their others are. So if I'm writing old school new body, I'm almost positive that it's just going to be an older person buying this thing. Right. And that's not always the case. Some young people are going, man, these older guys might know what they're talking about, but I know what they're thinking. They're thinking these kids today have it so damn good. I know that's going through their mind. So I just feed into that. Like, oh, this CrossFit core stuff, it's a bunch of, you can hear this in the letter, right? That's empathy. It's just very, very stealth. Like they're going, yeah. So what are they doing, man? What are they doing? They're being seen, heard, understood, and validated without me doing a damn thing. So comparative ideology. Yeah, that's an NLP term. If I may be misremembering that. Okay, psych degree, Judy. But it is comparative. So I'm taking an ideology and I'm doing something that is comparative to that or in alignment with that. And I'm going, so yeah, you're very much like somebody that's at a pro X rally, whatever X is. I'm pro blah, and some guy gets up there and goes, how many of you just love this? Okay, he's not saying I'm right there with you, but when they go, yeah, it's empathy. It still conveys empathy. So Judy asked a question real quickly, and we get asked this a lot. I have emailed copy pros at Godfather and copy pro. Am I getting folks into copyright? So I'll go into this really briefly because I want to spend most of our time answering specific questions to copywriting in particular. We are going to grandfather everyone into Copy Pro 2 to the point that Copy Pro 1 stops becoming Copy Pro. So in other words, you get all the copy backwards and you get lifetime access to it. In other words, the same thing you got right now. We're also going to give you an X amount of credits. We don't know how much that's going to be yet. So you can go into Copy Pro 2 and buy other people's stuff. You can see how it works. Don't know how that's going to work out. So, but probably 500 credits, something like that. I don't know. It could be 200, it could be 100, it could be 5,000. I'm not sure. But that's how we're going to do that. So let's get it. We got another couple of 5 minutes maybe. Let's get any other questions from the group here. Hello everyone. Derek, I see you. Tim, I see you. Danielle, I see you. Oscar, hello. Hey Val, what's going on?
Hey Jim, I have a tiny question. Throughout the classes, there seems to be like a lot of little concepts, right? Like the mistaken beliefs, the common enemy, all these things that have to be part of a great offer. Right. Is there anywhere we can get like a checklist of, I'm trying to make my own, right? But just kind of like have like, okay, this is my offer. I need to make sure that I have this, and that.
It's called copypro.ai. It's a checklist right there. There's your checklist, man.
So right on the part of creating your niche, right?
There's your checklist. Yeah, I mean that's it. Now you can make a cheat sheet version of that. We don't have one. It might be a good idea to have a cheat sheet version of it, meaning that do you have this? But understand, and I'm going to come back to a couple other questions that I had. You don't have to have every single thing I'm teaching in here any more than I'm going to use a musical metaphor again, analogy rather. If I'm teaching you, okay, here's all the modes in a particular scale, over a solo, you're not playing Dorian, Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. You're not playing every mode, right? And so it's like, well, dude, you just taught me a Mixolydian mode and you never played it. Well, yeah, it's just not the right time to play it. So you're learning the tools to put together to play music. In this case, to write music and to sell stuff. and to persuade people. So, but that checklist is handy because you may say, oh, okay, I don't really need to go over mistaken beliefs in this particular letter. They either know it or it's not that relevant. Like if you're buying a dog leash, you know, there's probably not a lot of mistaken beliefs going on. But if you're buying a dog leash, you might have forgotten a USP. Like, oh, crap, I'm just saying my dog leash is great. I kind of need to say, this is the world's first dog leash that leverages graphite technology so that not even Rover's sharp teeth can break through it and kill a small child as you're walking him down.
That's a great USP.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, why do I keep going into animals that kill people? That's so weird. It's like
deep in the mind.
Werewolves, dogs. I mean, it's, swear to God, this is not like a common conversation. What is it with you guys? It's your energy. I'm blaming it all on you. All right, hey, Derek, hey, Tim. So you guys all good? You guys get some questions? We got like 3 minutes. Shoot me off. Somebody else. You know, don't let Chris just take over the show. He's doing it. He's doing a good job of it. People that speak get it, man. Any questions? I'm going through. Anything to say? Any comments? Any praise?
I wrote 2 in there.
Sorry.
I wrote 2 in there. I'll just ask them live. The first one is, are we ever going to look at the blueprints behind the templates in Copy Pro?
You can do that right now, but yeah, we're going to do a ton of that. Yeah.
Oh, you can see the blueprint?
Oh, you're using the correct terminology, and the guy that invented it is not. Excuse me. That was completely my fault. You mean the actual blueprints, like the actual, what I'm looking at on the screen right here. Yes, I will share this with you like for 2 seconds here. And in fact, it's Josh's blueprint. He should be proud. I'm bragging on you. All right. If you can see my screen right here, you'll see this is a blueprint. That if I click on this, I can see every version he wrote up here. And it literally spells it out down here. So I can see how many different versions he wrote of this one sentence. I can click on this and see how many versions he wrote of this sentence. This is Copy Pro 2, and this is what you guys will be using, that the guys are lucky enough to get into this thing. So we can see this right down here, every single version of the sentence, and this is the blueprint that he's using. Now, when I say blueprint, I'm using it now I'm using it in the totally technical term of this is a technical blueprint. This is what this is what they are. So they're literally, I'm under projects, under template.
You're actually, templates.
Yeah, So you may be using that as what you mean by blueprint. If you're using the real technical term of blueprints, that is what you're doing right now. So I'm going to come over here. You're doing like, this is a blueprint for you. You recognize this. This is just the version 2. So this is the same thing you're doing right now. This is the blueprint. So we call this blueprints in version 2. And then what you're writing in version 2, we call templates. But you may be thinking of templates as blueprints, which is why I brought that one up. So
no, I was thinking of what you showed at first, because a few classes ago you mentioned something like the letters. Hi, do you ever verb about primary cause? And I was just thinking it would be cool to see a VSL or a letter or email broken down like that.
Yeah, so those are actually, you confused me there, man. You can't confuse the guy. You can't confuse me, but you did.
Stop.
Stop that, man. Yes, so these are actually called templates, and we will look at this a little bit of teaser. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show it to you now. We will show you we're going to start with this at the end of the class. Oops. Title. Yeah, title over here. So I'm doing this as fast as I can so we don't miss the score here. We're going to go through a short direct response sales letter. As you can see, that's completely all broken out, and you'll get to see every single thing that you guys are doing inside this letter. Every single thing. So you'll see exactly how the puzzle fits together. This is what we're going to do in the last session of the class that we're doing. And if you're really brave, we'll go into my version of the $50 million sales letter blueprint, which is the really long one, and you already have it in Copy Pro 1, but now you can see everything I've done. So this is the very beautiful interface that you will be working in if anyone's lucky enough to be picked to go into Copy Pro Academy. And writing this for yourself, and you can put your own sales pages in here, and you can make money. So it's kind of exciting. It's a new way to sell copy. So awesome. We got to jump over to the call, guys. Hey, thanks a lot. We'll try 8 o'clock Friday, and we'll go from there. But I'll see you over at the other call.
Hey guys.
Bye.